presidential candidate Hillary Clinton surviving a pretty rough week of finger-pointing and then some. Some pretty serious blows from her rival candidates on the Democratic side on one issue. The mystery surrounding millions of unreleased health care documents from her husband's administration. Senator Clinton says, to her knowledge, all the papers are readily available. Apparently, that may not be the case. Joining us now to talk about it, Tom Fitton, who is the president of Judicial Watch. His group is still waiting on a request to have those documents released. Thanks for being with us. All right, you heard her at the debate. They've all been released. Newsweek is reporting, quote, vast majority of the Clinton's healthcare task force records still under lock and key. Who's telling the truth, Hillary or Newsweek?
The National Archives is telling the truth. That's where the information comes from. We had asked for these documents nearly 2 years ago.
So Newsweek is telling the truth. That's
right. And the archives told us that there were 3 million documents that they needed to search to produce the healthcare task force records, and that's the correspondence.
Do you think she's deliberately lying, or do you think she's just uninformed?
Oh, I think she's being disingenuous. I think she knows the bulk of documents in the Clinton White House have yet to be released by the archives, and her involvement, her husband's involvement in this process is slowing things down.
Well, let me ask you about her husband. You remember in the debate, Tim Russert held up the letter from Bill Clinton that says, you know, you can't release these documents until 2012. He issued a statement a couple of days ago that says, no, the letter I sent actually expedites the release of the information, which is true, the letter that Russert held up or what Bill Clinton now says.
Well, the letter speaks for itself, and the letter walls off a bunch of documents from the American people. Virtually anything that's sensitive, Bill Clinton tells the archives to withhold until he can review. And so those types of documents would be slowly walked to archives, if at all. Certainly, we won't see many of them before the election next year.
Tom, the article also says that at the debate, Mrs. Clinton rejected the idea that she could accelerate the process by encouraging her husband, Mr. Clinton, to lift the restrictions. And she says, quote, that that's not my decision to make. If it's not her decision to make, as she claims, then whose is it?
Well, obviously, it's her decision to make. President Clinton has designated her as one of his representatives in dealing with the archives. According to Bruce Lindsay, the other representative, she isn't involved. I don't believe that. I believe it's a mutual decision to withhold and to carefully scrutinize the key documents before they get out. Because they have an election. They don't want anything politically explosive to get out before the election. They don't want material coming out about the old scandals before the election. But they have every interest in withholding these documents.
Isn't it kind of better to just beat the scandals to the punch? I mean, by go ahead and releasing all this documentation, because at some point you know it's going to get out there, and then she's going to have to I sort of cover her tracks after the fact.
The best thing the Clintons could do would be to tell the archives, you can release the documents as you normally would. You don't have to wait for us to tell you yes or no. They haven't done that.
Well, you know, if there's nothing in there to be afraid of, why not just release them? I don't get it. Tom,
there's plenty there to be afraid of. That's why they don't want to release it.
Yeah. Okay, Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. Thanks very much, Tom. Julie?
All right, we'll pack